Greetings, dear friends. Today we have a very unusual format of the discussion, and today at the studio, the informational agency Itartas, major news agency of Russia, and with the invitation of the International People's Unity Club, that I am a co-chairman of, we have as a guest Maria Zakharova. She's official representative of, and a face, definitely a face, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, speaks about us. It's just a great help, and it's reality. Also in our studio we have four very famous American podcasters. Mr. Larry Johnson, he's ex-analytic from CIA. He's a political study guy and international analytics guy. Also, Ms. Judge Napolitano, he's got his own podcast, Judging Freedom. He said that in Russian. And majority of American experts are guests with a judge. And I want to say right away for our audience, these people are very well known. They are present even in YouTube, which is Russian version of YouTube, with a lot of viewers, and we have not just American but also a Russian audience here. And at the beginning, I would like to ask a couple of questions. First question, of course, to you, Maria, but I also would like if my colleagues have a supportive answers, would be great. My question is, it's like a professional pain that I have, as an analytical person. Modern international politics has a new quality that we didn't have before. It's absolutely unprecedented. We cannot forecast it. It's volatile, wildly, and international leaders, as soon as they got this, TikToks and all that stuff, they started connected with the world, forgetting that they are leaders of huge countries. And there's military machine behind it, including, and there's a responsibility for some leaders. They have to have responsibility for what they say. It's not a global south countries, but in the West we have this highlighted marker, and we all face the same question. A lot of colleagues are speaking, they say, they're going crazy. There's no logic, there's no aim, there's no strategy, there's some kind of just reactions. And I am the opponent, and I said, no, wait a minute, there's a government behind them, there's a huge machine system behind them that works with a plan. Where is the rationality in all that? Can we lean on it, or it's a pure intuition we have now? Yes, dear colleagues, hello. We have a great audience before us, multi-million audience. Hello, Russia. Hello, early morning to United States of America. We don't know how it will be, when they will put us on air. Greetings. I always say about one thing that, I'll give an example of my childhood, my school years. I loved mathematics, and we had great teacher. She is gifted teacher. We had a lot of teachers in mathematics. One of them was she is gifted, talented, and I remembered her, still remember her. She began lessons of geometry with a simple task. She'd invite you to the class, stand in front, she'd give us a chalk, and she would tell us, draw me a triangle. And I would do that on the chalkboard. And I said that this is a equal sides triangle, or this triangle has a straight angle. Of course not. We just drew the triangle off of our hand, off of the mind. No. You look at this triangle just on the chalkboard, but you need to be able in a 3D dimension. And if you look at the volume, that could be equal side triangle, it could have a straight angle. Everything what you say, you can't look in one format of today. You have to look at it at volume, historical content. Why? Because It was your key phrase, never. It took place before. It never happened before, and only now it takes place. Counting in that you have in your phrase a connotation, a connection to the history, time. You see, it never happened before. We have to compare it to something. So I cannot agree that today we have a special time that never took place before, and it's worse than when it was some time earlier. So look at it now. What happens now? World leaders are going crazy. In social media, they write crazy things and statements. I apologize. 85 years ago, world leaders were telling how they organized a massive killings of people and how they came up with the concentration camps or specialized machines on a massive killing of one nationality or one faith. And that was counted in the whole world, practically in the whole world, in many countries that were listening to them. That was absolutely accepted. Maybe not normal, but they accepted it. Just think about it. And you speak today about bad times. Listen, at least today we have some type of understanding of a norm. At least a little bit we have, including what you said, that White House has now a person like Mr. Trump. We have a possibility to see people that are same thinkers on the basic foundational things, and they could push us to give an oath to negative basics. Today we have good times because we can stand against it. 90 years ago, 85 years ago, we couldn't do that. This is the time where we have seen our grandparents, grandfathers, our neighbors, teachers that lived in those times. And that was massive murderous time, but not by barbarians, not by sick people, but by those who were, as a national hero, national head of the state. And they actually proclaimed themselves as the leaders of the free world. They were applauding them. There's a civilized world, there's Western Europe. They worship Hitler. It was everywhere. His portraits were everywhere. They were not just in Germany. That was on New York Times. And he was actually nominated for the Nobel Prize. He was almost a messiah that they were putting their money on.
Right.
That's when they had ghettos. And that was in a time when he said that the world would need to clean up from Jews, from Slavic people, and etc. And they were plotting to this. And you tell me now that we have lost times? No. Another very down-to-earth example. Of course, it's bad when a person has a fever. It's a sickness. It means a person is sick, but it's good because the body is fighting the bacteria. Yes, the temperature in the worldly body went up. It's good. That means we are fighting it. We are fighting against, with the total humanity. We're going against that. We said that from dozens of years, we were said that it was good to change the gender of the person. No, it's not normal. We're standing against that. We were told that kids are born with no gender or some kind of middle gender, and the parents and the social world, they have to come up who this baby is going to be to model the baby. No, it's not normal, and that's what we stand against. And I think that today we're going to discuss those things, the Mr. Trump individuality, and we need to speak about it. It's I think this is my feelings. This is what I speak it from my personal convictions. It's a great chance that the world has. It's a great chance that the whole world has. At least somehow find this same thinkers. Because in the West, there's a voice of alternative. Practically last dozens of years, last 20 years, the West was speaking collectively with one voice of craziness, madness. That's truly its devil's voice. And I think when at this altar of black mass, they had babies that when they were not 18 years, and then they were cutting off their genitals and giving the hormones. You know, that was a devil's worshipping place.
Yes.
That's a satanic action. And I think when one person came, yes, he came with a team, but one person who started speaking against this hell squire, something different. Now that's a chance, but I think we'll discuss it later on. Okay. I will use your image and I will give it as a question to our colleagues from US. Maria says that the temperature is a sign that the body is fighting with microbes. But when the temperature goes above 42 degrees in Celsius, it's lethal, a person can die. So I have a question for you. Do you think that fever, temperature in the world goes from one lethal state to another? What do you think? What is your opinion?
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here and to be able to speak to our Russian audience and our American audience. Larry Johnson and I are colleagues for many years on television and now on the podcast. It's a special pleasure to be here with our friend Maria, who of course is a world-known figure and a very deep thinker. Your answer to Alexander's question provoked many, many ideas, at least in my mind, and I won't address all of them because we'll be here all afternoon, but it was a very deep and profound answer. Today, because of President Trump, there is at least communication going on between the two great powers. And talking is always better than fighting, even if the talking results in baby steps, as we say in America. You're familiar with this, of progress. It is far better than the silence, the wall of silence that was erected during the Biden years. Another thing that Trump has brought back in America is a more traditional understanding of Christian morality. The American people do not know how profoundly Christian Orthodox the Russian society is and the Russian people are. If the American people understood that the way Larry and I do from our trips here, from our interaction with you and our other friends in this room, it would lower the temperature because of the unity and the understanding that would come about. I would never criticize you. You're a world-class spokesperson for one of the two great powers on the planet. But the American people need a better understanding of the Russian people, and that understanding will filter its way up to the American leadership. As for this stuff about changing genders, unfortunately, it is legal in America. Unfortunately, the government pays for it. It is reprehensible, immoral, profoundly disgusting, but unfortunately, it's becoming commonplace. It should be defeated by the force of ideas among us, by the force of opinions among us, so it is not common, so it is not contemplated, so people will hesitate even to think about it, because it is diabolic and will result in the destruction of the mores that underlie our society. I pass to my friend Larry.
Well, first let me say it's always a pleasure to be with the woman known as the steel fist, the iron fist in the velvet glove, you know. But it's a remarkable achievement, because I was talking with the judge and Scott Ritter, and we try to recall spokesmen or spokeswomen for foreign ministries that are memorable, and there are only two.
Saki.
No.
No.
There are only two. I can remember Margaret Tutwiler, who was James Baker's spokeswoman, and you. I mean, you have a presence and a fame and around the world which makes you credible, and then you back it up with, you know, you're not just an empty head. You've got substance. You speak well, and you also know how to straighten people out when they're off base. Let me suggest that my question to you will be this: Does Russia realize that it is now that city on a hill that the world should flock to learn how to live? And here's what I mean by that. With the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 90s, Russia sunk to a level of despair. Life expectancy declined. The middle class virtually disappeared. It was a time of horror. And yet out of that, Russia has arisen sort of like a phoenix from the ashes. And instead of embarking on military adventure after military adventure like we have in the United States, instead of causing death and mayhem around the world as we did in the United States, Russia first focused on rebuilding its country and creating a beautiful nation, and one that was not committed to militarism, one that was not committed to conquest. So I guess my question is, do you guys realize what you have and that you've got a real message to share with the world?
Yes, thank you very much for what you said. I want to say that probably I shouldn't start from myself, but since you started from me, I will allow myself to answer on my personality. I never had something special. When I came to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I came to work in 1998 to Ministry of Foreign Affairs from the Institute. These were the years of collapse. Everything was destructed. Fully everything, any ideology was broken. No communist, no socialist, no party. We didn't have internal system. Everything was in ruins. Nobody understood what took place. We didn't have salaries. I was paid salary just as much for me to take a metro trip, a subway trip to my work. Would somebody work in the State Department for that if they would just have $100 salary? I had less than $100. Even food we cooked at home and we brought to work. We didn't have the money to buy food. I was doing translations. I was translating verbally for some Chinese tourists to make money, to survive, because I know Chinese language. Some was driving a car in the evening, like a taxi guy from my colleagues at nighttime. Some were giving lessons. What we were doing, all that is possible. Out of material world, we had nothing. No salaries, no clothing, nothing. We were surviving. We never had anything from the ideology world, material world, ideology where they were all ruined. You can grade it differently, but basics was the same. But we had something, some one thing that was stronger than anything else. What was it? That was faith. We believed. We really believed what we believed in. We had faith in not just some kind of messianic way of our country, but it's our country passed through so much before.
Yes.
And so many fears, so many terrors, unprecedented. Surely we can go through this way. I never had that there's something had to take place. Something would be in the future. Nobody put that faith in me. Nobody told me at work, it would be good. No, everybody was. There was no organization, and the biggest powerful message was given by Mr. Evgeny Primakov. He started put together the team. He started fighting. He started taking steps. He would raise the material level for the workers. He would started putting in the ideology work and in a process. And that was a powerful impulse. But every day, nobody took care, no psychiatrists, no psychologists. Hey, let's work on something. We didn't have a team building. Never had that. But we had something inside, deep in our heart and our soul, something that was probably brought us that Russian literature, Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Turgenev, Pushkin, same Lermontov, Blok, Akhmatova, Tsvetaeva, the people that are part of the world cultural space. Maybe it was Russian artistic school, beautiful paintings, art. Aivazovsky, Repin, they gave us that power. They would pull you together. Maybe it was the architecture Mukhina, the ones that did the VDNH, the time to go forward. And that somehow internally gave you the battery, that accumulator that you have for the extra cases. You had no working system in the body, in the submarine or something, but you have that battery, you have that something that if you don't have electricity, unplug it and that the last accumulator would work. That internal accumulator was moving us. I'm not special. Myself, there's a lot of people like myself that came in those years for government service. Not for money, not for glory, not to be a hero. I don't know why we came. We were led by a certain internal feeling that we have to do that, and with the faith that we had to do that, not the faith of the special future or special mission, but the faith that we had to do it. This is why when I see Trump, I have a feeling that he has that internal leading, some kind of faith that it has to be done. I allow myself to get back. There's a Russian word, it's not a Russian phrase, everybody says it in Russian. It says flesh from flesh and blood from blood. To me, it's like an absolute example of America. He is the America that was created, entrepreneurial, very flexible, has a lot of things inside, different cultures, different colors inside. America's commerce, its business, its deals. This was what we had 300 years ago in America. That's how it was created. He is that America, and he, as we have the winner takes it all in our song, he took it all, he made great money, he was already popular, he already was like, from American values, self-made, quite a very popular person. He took the last praise. First time he became for himself a president of America. He could have just come down at that point. He made a lot of money. He had a high position. He had all the glory, and he proved to everybody he's got the family, he's got the friends, he's got world business. But something moved him further. Could it be in the beginning that he lost that position, and so unjustly, because it was stolen from him. And I'm 100% assured that position was stolen from him, not election. Presidency was stolen from him. They didn't let him work on the first term. The first term of President Trump was at 50 or even actually 70%. There was ultra-liberal Democrats at power. They did anything possible to stop him. And could it be that it was the motivation that he had to prove that he's able to do something, but then later on, no, there's something inside more stronger than just a desire to prove and fight for just. It's a faith that he had to do something special. He's got like a special calling. This can be done by a person who truly is ready to lay down all that he has, not till the last cent, but even to the success of all his relatives. He went through, the people tried to kill him. Some people were killed around him, not physically, but ideology, the morals. People were killed without weapons in his circle. They were put in jails. They were going after her. Look at his wife. They went after her, and that's important for her. That's a person with a certain attitude towards his inner circle. He was ready to put it lay on the altar, everything, because he understood that America, and America's tied up with a lot of countries, that America is drawing, it's at the collapse level, and maybe outside it's not seen, but he understood it from the very inside, because America was made as a ugly state, or those ultra, I can't call them Democrats, this ultra people, whatever they are, but they're not Democrats. They're just killing America, and he put everything he could not to win himself, but give a chance to the people that he really loves and respects. And that's more than his just inner circle. It's more than just money. You know, it's you know better than I do. He is at the baseball cap that he wears, a T-shirt, or MAGA, M-A-G-A.
America great again.
Yes, America
Make America great again.
Yes, that slogan. Everybody knows that. Just recently I thought about it. Could it be that in this MAGA there's one more point? Could it be magnanimous word, meaning it's like having a huge soul for people. Magnanimum, the great American word. Maybe it's not just make America great again. Maybe it's just being that, be an open heart person. And I was trying through his example to show you what we felt in 90s when we came to State Department service here in Russia. We understood why we had to do it for other generations before us, for the whole world, because a lot of countries believed in Russia. And when you said that Russia did not make a bet on military or aggression, like yesterday, President of Russia, Mr. Putin, by saying greetings to RT for their anniversary, he said a great personal story. I never heard that. He was the head of the federal state service here. To his colleagues, you know, these people already worked for him. He said, a person who worked at KGB all the time, he was the head of FSB, he is flesh from flesh, a person from those powers who's the special secret services. He was speaking as the head of the Federal Service Bureau to all his colleagues. You must not only put on the power methods, but how to explain, give explanations. You know, he said that first time, that story. That's where also we look at it, at the power of the spirit, at the power of this example, personal example. Again, the power of the spirit. We have in Russian a saying, a power of the spirit. It's not just a willpower. A willpower, it's something what was called to place on Hitler. He wrote The Triumph of Will. Will is not everything. A will without the spirit from the inside can bring you to what Nazis did in Germany. Not the will only, but on the power of the spirit. And where you understand that your will has to be together with something more great, having a bigger value, civilization value, that was go from generation to generation, godly values. And this put all together, you're trying to do what you do, what is kind of like given to you from all those generations. That gives you that strength and power to keep going forward. And I truly hope, I really believe that this is a faith that's not sit still. It's a faith that acts, that now Trump will stand against all those ultras. He stood against them when the first time he had the first term. He stood against strong second time when he was almost shot, when he was wounded. And he started going forward. He stood when all his team was under great pressure. Now all those ultra-liberals in the United States are acting, they don't go direct. They go through European Union, go around, they recruit all NATO and EU space, so that as a choir they would pressure Trump massively and let's say, hey, let's raise up the aggression in Ukraine, give them more weapons, supply more weapons. Now, EU does it not for themselves. EU does it for American ultras.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I really can't understand is that the attack on Donald Trump that started with, which we now know as Russiagate, was entirely designed to demonize Russia.
Stop. Нет.
No, wait, stop.
Сейчас будет сложно.
It would be difficult now.
Не для вас,
Difficult
для
not
понимания, сложно для меня.
for you.
Сделать так, чтобы вы поняли.
It will take my strength to give you the explanation. To demonize Russia, that's not for America. American people, the real American people, they didn't have any relations to demonizing. I lived among Americans. It's not the embassy I lived in. I lived in America every day, 1 hour to work, one way, another hour back home. I lived among Americans. I talked to Americans. The main target of Americans, the main thing is go to work, leave till Friday, have some rest on Saturday, enjoy church, synagogue, mosque on Sunday, get some strength, get back to the work week and launch the next week to make money, to feed yourself, your kids, provide education or some kind of profession. That's the main goal that America is thinking about. That's the only thing that they have, the real American people. The rest, they throw to them as an ideology, like a setting, like on a phone or something, to demonize Russia. This was the goal for American ultra-liberals.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Correct.
I agree.
Why? Because if we speak about civilization values, we're very close with Americans, you know?
Yeah,
It is a part of that powerful group. It's not actually the group, it's an American society, American value. They love and they keep traditional values, but they don't push away the progress, of course not. But it speaks that the human being, it's not an animal. It's not some kind of thing that crawls on a ground that you can do experiments with. It's a unique individual that was made in the image of God. And in that case, in that meaning, we are the same. We have the same points of contact.
Right.
And this is why they wanted to level down Trump, and they had to kick Russia out of the daily agenda. And how could they do it? By putting demonic image on Trump, on Russia. Anything that takes place around Russia, anything takes place in the EU, everything was created by the hands of American ultra-radicals, by their network all over Europe to put pressure through Russia back on Trump.
Yeah, no, and that was my point, that it was to poison the atmosphere so that the natural values that the American people share with the Russian people. And I think part of it too was when Russia re-embraced its Christian roots and that faith that has been the fire that has burned through the centuries.
Not just to Christian values, but to traditional religion. We have Islam,
True.
We have Judaism, we have traditional religions in support.
Well, and that's one of the other things I insist that Russia has to teach the world, because Russia, on the one hand, is this deeply Christian nation, and yet has found a way that the Muslims and the Jews and other religions, they love Mother Russia first. They are Russian, and yet they still practice their religion. That's one of the other things I think that Russia has to teach the world. It's because in the United States we find these divisions. We get separated. Well, you're Muslim, you're Jewish, and we haven't found the way to bridge that like Russia has.
Probably not teach the world, but feed.
Yeah.
But you have such a profound understanding of the American system and of Donald Trump. It's hard for me to believe that the Americans have an equivalent understanding of President Putin, of the progress that has been made here since the fall of the Soviet Union, and an appreciation of the Russian culture. Americans simply don't have that. When Larry and I say, I'm going to Moscow, my own brothers, whom I dearly love, say to me, why are you going there? You might get killed.
Yeah.
I mean, the attitude, right, it's safer, it is safer here than in New York where I live. The attitude is so stilted because of what the elites, the military-industrial complex, the people that fed the government.
Only one answer to your phrase. Because of propaganda.
Yes.
Because United States, the Constitution and propaganda is against the law. Absolute freedom of speech. So propaganda is prohibited. But what do we have in the United States? It's a pure propaganda. You put together the mass media, together with the political flows, with the state government, with economical institutes, financial institutes, and there we have propaganda. And you know, I have my own terminology about Russia. 3 years. Over 3 years I worked in the United States. Every day I watched American TV channels. I read newspapers, and every day I heard American radio in the car driving to work, and different political channels, social, and just absolutely, totally entertainment. I made a conclusion. America, starting from 2000, there was a politics that I called
zero good news about Russia, or zero good news for Russia.
Right.
Так не бывает.
It just doesn't happen that way, that always something happens good, not just bad news. There's good, but there's also bad. There's bad, there's also good. They spoke nothing, not one word about Russia that was good. I saw maybe 5 cases in 3 years. Just think about it. 5 cases in 3 years with good news about Russia. Number one, this is Russia in another city. The exhibition was open. And that was good news. Good news was that the concerts of ballads and opera in Carnegie Hall. Good news was that I can't say it was good, it was kind of bad news, but it was given a neutral way, of a neutral source, with some kind of feeling. When President Yeltsin died, of course it's a tragical news, but at least with this tragical news, they added some positive things. There was another image, another show about some kind of cats or whatever else. So in 3 years, that's what I saw positive about Russia. Anything else was bad, negative. People's rights bad, Caucasus bad. Everything is negative, and the rest also was bad.
Maria, it is worse today. Larry Johnson is one of the smartest people I know on American intelligence and American military. He is not permitted on any of the mainstream television, commercial, cable TV at all. He once was, but he isn't anymore. That's why he has to come on places like my podcast and other podcasts, which are alternative media. We are growing enormously because the American people have a thirst for another side of these events, a thirst for a truthful view of Russia. They do not get it in the mainstream media. The American media are the CIA stenographers. They say whatever the government wants them to say, and they say whatever the oligarchs that own them want them to say.
Well, I think that the state that we have CIA in, that's also what you did.
Former,
You have to be honest.
former CIA.
But it's just like with President Putin. The Americans like to say, oh, he was KGB. Well, He was a lawyer.
What about Bush family?
Yeah, very well.
Come on.
Sure. Yeah.
Вот вы понимаете,
So you see, it's a.
ровно поэтому
This is exactly why the Trump's team came to social media
Yes.
before his first term. They knew it all. They knew everything about United States. That was the biggest thing that, unfortunately, America is now under propaganda because their person, Trump is flesh to flesh. He's American. He's got an American. He is the American dream. What you speak about America was said in hundreds of years. This is Trump. His house, family, work, business, money, success. It's ability to be resurrected. It's a service to your country. This is Trump. And he, being the owner of the huge empire of the finances, great friends with a lot of money, he could have bought any commercial on TV.
Right.
He left from TV, from newspapers. He went into mass media, in the social networks. And he was blocked everywhere because liberal democracy didn't want to see him there. And then he started making his own social networks. And that's when he started doing to make a hybrid, something out of it, hybrid. And for me, it is the best proof that unfortunately in the United States, we have blocks on some set of questions concerning Russia, and it's unpositive image, but let's put it objective image. We don't want to say we're only good. Yes, we are the way we are.
Right.
You speak about us. Hey, we've got bridges under construction. We've got roads. We have great museums opening theaters. We have great hospitals. We have schools, kindergartens. We have a lot of bad things, but we also have a lot of good things. Say everything about us. Say never anymore we speak about Russia, this or that. That would be more just than what they do now. But that's not what they do in America. We had a year ago one Italian businessman, a very powerful figure in Italy one time. He's about 70 years old. He first time came to Russia. He was shocked. He was in the center of Moscow. He couldn't believe his eyes.
Right.
It's like he said, I traveled to another planet. He says, you should not exist. When I look at Italian TV, I am told that you don't exist.
Yeah.
I saw that in 2013. That's when Obama said that the Russian economy was torn. He says, here, take a round.
Right.
Here, take a look around the torn pieces. He could not believe. He said these ugly words that Italian TV was speaking about Russia. I mean, he named them all names in the world.
This is the way I felt the first time I visited Moscow, which was just 6 months ago with Larry. I couldn't believe the beauty, the hustle and bustle, as we say in New York, the magnificence, the culture of Moscow. But I must ask you, Alexander, is there a way for President Trump to view what we're saying? He must hear what Maria just said. He must know the profound understanding that she and Foreign Minister Lavrov and President Putin have of him and of the American society.
Got good news about America. We just came back from New York. We were at the General Assembly. It's a rare case where they give me a visa, but the General Assembly, they still give it to me. The good news is that New York became better. For the last year, Manhattan got cleaner, has a lot of order. What took place in New York for the last 5 years that I know of, it was just total destruction, and Manhattan became like a favela. You know, that's the word favela. It's a.
What is this word?
Favela is a Brazilian slum.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It was a ghetto that people stopped cleaning behind themselves.
Yes.
Yes.
They left not just garbage, but they were sorry, but they were
Yes.
shitting in the middle of the street. And we came to New York. The smell was there, like somebody died.
Yeah.
It was impossible. And now, the last 12 months that we have a new administration, the level became better. They started cleaning up the garbage. They started cleaning up the streets. Not those ugly constructions they left the town looking like some kind of doghouse or something. So there's an understanding that those that came to power, they understand that New York is like a visit card for United States. It's the image of the ancestors. It's not about it's about the core about the city. It's the city with a special history. And praise God, there's some kind of internal resurrection of the city. One more topic for discussion to continue. Maria, you were talking about the same thing, but understanding as how two countries, or maybe they understand or maybe they don't understand each other, that we don't have enough instruments, that they're blocked in America. I would like to remember the book, we have it in Russian, of great American thinker, Robert Jervis, that the right and wrong perception of international politics. And a wrong perception, according to his opinion, is that the war, not understanding, that not is just not interest or no desire, but not understanding each other. And being in such state, what can we do? He is judge, he speaks about alternative media. Yes, they're very powerful in the United States. A lot of users, a lot of viewers, but that's what they have. How can we today, as we sitting at this table, help your input, your investment, to the club of people's unity? We want to create these meetings, at least at the level of experts, to reach understanding. How can we carry it to people? Maybe we think about people's diplomacy. You know, not understanding, it's like in a terminology of not understanding, it's a very local thing. And you sit at home and you don't understand. Globally, if you took it a large scale, when you turn on the TV, when you open up a newspaper, that's when misunderstanding either disappears because they exploit it or it increases. Misunderstanding is like a factor that cannot bring to war, but when you scale it up, when you lock it up, when you put the oil on the fire, definitely it's the way to conflict. Why? Due to mass media. Propaganda makes this work. That is taken over by certain groups. What do? Believe that we have to now, everyone at his own place, at his own position spot. Somebody has to ring the bell, somebody has to give explanations. We have to work. We have to stand on the basic foundations. By the way, rarely that I ever speak about Biden on the good side, but there's one good thing that really shocked me. I heard that myself. It's not a fake. It wasn't from deep fake. I heard his interview, and I think that it's an amazing example that he brought. Unfortunately, he didn't use it in his life. He said when he went to Europe some time ago, he took grandkids with him. I think he brought them to Osvensim, to the camp. One of the concentration camps in Germany. He put his grandkids before the entrance to the camp at the territory of the European country, and he said, "What do you see?" They see concentration camps. He says, "That's right. Who was the biggest evil? Were Germans, Nazis that were killing people?" He says, "Yes, and that's true. But the worst thing is that around people were living." And he said, "Turn around, take a look at those houses. good, beautiful houses that were around, that people with great comfort lived in those houses, and those people every day, they stood up, they were brushing their teeth, doing their gymnastics, took a shower, they made their eggs, made a coffee or tea, read the news, went outside the house, outside the gate, and they saw those concentration camps, and wagons of humans were coming to, and they saw the pipes with ash coming out.
Right.
They coming back and they repeated their routine. What's worse? The ones that were already crazy and they couldn't understand they did inside that camp, or those that kept some type of a routine and their acceptance. They read the books and they were not in that process, but they watched the process of killing and they did nothing. That was Biden's speech, and that shocked me. I cannot say ever that he didn't say that.
Yeah.
You really have to say that what was good what he said and what was bad what he said. But this is what we should not be as people who have their own house routine. Make a tea, coffee, put a pie, piece of pie, say goodnight to kids, and watches at the world from their own window, watching the murdering of people that takes place, at what how they try to kill the nations, watching it's how they killed other people. Of course, we shouldn't do the self-judging, we shouldn't, but we have to come to the certain values and find the answer to the question. We should not develop, we shouldn't go for that. We should stop that harassment. So that could be an answer. But you actually answered a lot deeper. But if you take a look at your own personal traditional values, you would be able to help the society. So what I offer to you is I also join this discussion. Official representative of Ministry of Foreign Affairs talks about faith and values with us.
Yes.
And what, when you worked in the late 90s in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, what motivated you? But I had the word, it's really being a patriotic. It's that faith that everything would work out. And for me, it's very valuable to me. My country and your country, we have the same country. We cannot live separately from the history of the World War II Great War. And that story made us. We are the generation that totally exists either against or because of these events. It's like we're flesh from flesh of those times. We have to understand what took place there, and we have to remember that with a difference of systems, with a difference of how it all started and how the war launched and how different positions were there. Unfortunately, Western countries, Western Europe, and unfortunately part of the American society, they saw that way. They applaud to Hitler. Massive conferences of Nazis in the United States. Some actually were greatly financing him, but all this hell broke loose. And when the Soviet Union won over this equator of that fight, and when they established that there will be no Nazism and fascism for them to continue on, they put a block. There were some powers inside the Western society to pick up, create anti-Hitler coalition, and open a second front in real time, not by words, but already in certain acts. Fight with a common enemy. France had strength. De Gaulle, anti-fascist movement. Inside Germany, they had powerful powers, but they had a right push in other countries. And we started fighting together. Today, we have to find the same common ground, because what takes place in the area of the values and morality, and actually anti-morality, that's actually very, very close to the fascist time, whether 90 years ago it took place. Because the Indian is the same. Segregation of people to those who have a right to live and who's got no right to live. Segregation concerning the language, on access to the resources, being above somebody else. And that's what the world passed through many times. So we have to find the same ground, so it will be too late. So try to get ready. And we have to stop. It's already takes place. Think about it. You have to realize the Kursk region. They have massive cemeteries of the people that Kiev regime killed and buried in those cemeteries.
Yeah.
Do you realize that? That people, citizens of Kursk region as Donetsk, Lugansk, today in 21st century, just think about it. They are killed massively as they were killed with Nazist fascists 90 years ago. Do you realize that we're talking about Europe? Why you talk about trying to stop it? No. It already takes place in the center of Europe. That NATO countries, European segment of NATO countries there, in the absolute zombie state. They give money to that every day. They pressure Trump that he would give more money, more technology, weapons to kill. We are already in a center of the huge shame that the countries that were speaking about, the most developed countries, and for the last hundreds of years, Western Union was United States, and this or that way they were represents like a technologically developed states. The states that were the creators of the modern, Roman rights, Roman law, modern architecture. Where did it come from? It came from European civilizations. These countries accumulated powers to develop humanity. What did they come to in the 21st century? To find massive methods of murdering people. The worst lesson we had, the first one 90 years ago, but we never learned that lesson. And it goes in cycles, mistake after mistake in the first quarter of the 21st century. Now, it's a shame when the uneducational people do that, barbarians or not developed personality, who is outside of the educational process or light process, outside of the values. It's one. He's wild. He's a wild person. But these are people with education. These are done by people who know what is Christianity, Judaism, being Muslim, being the people that know who is Diderot, Rousseau, who is Montesquieu, and all other heroes, who is the Hugo. They know it all. And they still do it. And this is a catastrophe. It's a horror. So we have to work not for going ahead. We're already in the middle of those events. Not us as Russia. We are standing against. We, as you mentioned correctly, we are not allowing that fever to grow to the fatal, but the others, they don't know. The world majority that are represent like Asia, Africa, Latin America. Surprisingly, all their life, the West called them non-civilized, non-developed. They are being developed. They already understood. In 3 years, they're saying, hey, let's stop. And they say to the West, listen, we don't need the escalation of this conflict. Many countries say that, Asia, Latin America, and especially Africa say, wait, we went through that. This is racism. This is what takes place. Hey, wake up. But the civilized part is in a zombie state. So this is the fear and the horror. We need to stop it. We have to stop our conversation, put it on pause. But again, I want to repeat that we were on air with official representative from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Maria Zakharova, international analytic and expert, CIA expert Larry Johnson, the head of Judging Freedom Podcast, Judge Napolitano, and Alexander Kazakov, the co-chairman of the International Unities Club. We don't say goodbye. We're going to be here for another week trying to bring the truth. Thank you, Maria, for your time. Truly appreciate your effort. You have given us a great push. Thank you. Thank you so much.